Hi there, my name is JackTheFallout and welcome to Blade and Sorcery. Today we have got an interview and a Q&A with Kingo64, otherwise known as the creator of the hit mod, The Outer Rim. Because Kingo wants to continue to remain anonymous, I have typed out everything Kingo said over the Discord call and put it through 11 Labs AI, using the voice of the clones. We chatted about VR, Star Wars and much more. Don't forget to like this video as it helps me out more than you know, leave a comment down below and subscribe if you enjoy this video. A massive shout out to Kingo64 for answering my questions and having a lovely long chat with me. Let's start this off by asking what gave you the idea for the Outer Rim and how did you come about making it?
It initially started when I got Blade and Sorcery back in U6. I thought, hey, this is actually a really cool game. It's built well and the physics feel nice. The bones of the game were there. There was a guy who made a lightsaber mod on U6. This was really early on in the history of Blade and Sorcery. The lightsabers felt pretty cool, and they worked pretty well. I thought, look, I'm a programmer. I have experience with some stuff, maybe it might help out. I messaged the guy, and we were exchanging notes and sharing some stuff. I went off and made my own prototype, which became Lightsabers U6. That was a test for setting up the lightsabers. And I thought, if I can do that, I'll make some blasters. So, I made the E11 ages ago, and that was the first prototype for the blasters. And I thought, if I can do that, I can do more. And I may as well make a pack instead of just releasing one mod per item. I thought, let's just make one big mega pack. Make it easy for people, single zip file, extract it, done. And I can just expand on it from there.
How many hours do you reckon you have put into creating content for the Outer Rim? And when it needs updating, how long does that process take?
Currently, it's been 4 years working on the Outer Rim, and I don't want to really quantify it. If I did, I would feel pretty bad. It's been too long, too much time. As for how long it takes to update it, it depends on how much has broken as a result of the new updates. With every single major version, something breaks and has to be remade. Even take, for example, U12, where all the dungeons were completely rewritten. It's so much harder to work with right now. In U10, they replaced all of the AI, and that became super difficult. It means I'll have to rewrite everything or unfortunately drop support for it. I would rather not have something in the mod if it meant it was not good or barely working. Before Whojoner recently fixed Blaster AI, before the AI was fixed, people restored the Blaster NPCs and then came to me saying, why isn't the Blaster AI not shooting correctly? And I'm like, well, I removed it. And I removed it because it wasn't working. You discovered the reason I removed it. But I can understand not everyone reads the notes I put in, and Nexus comments are difficult to sort through. And you have to understand, most of them are also little kids. If I was their age, I would probably want to play it also.
Did you ever expect the mod to be as popular as it is? The mod is currently sat at nearly 2 million downloads.
I did expect it. The subject matter of Star Wars is very popular, especially as it's had quite a large resurgence with Disney taking over. It was pretty much inevitable. Let's imagine I did the same thing with Marvel. People would get very excited and start frothing at the mouths. It's to be expected. There are other niche topics like what happened if I did it with Star Trek and any other series, but it might not have as much of a community or maybe not as diverse of a subject.
Do you still play Blade and Sorcery? What do you think about some of the more recent updates?
It's really odd for me because, to be honest, I haven't played the game in a couple of years, since about 2020. I'm really disconnected from even how the mod plays itself. I don't play the game, and all my friends who have VR don't play Blade and Sorcery. It's really odd. Oh, the mod has been tested, I just haven't played the game.
If you got a phone call from Disney asking you to work on a brand new VR Star Wars game, would you?
If I had at least a reasonable amount of say with the creative control, being able to give it justice and make it a fun but also violent video game, yes, I would probably be interested, whether it's full-time or on a contractual basis.
What is your favorite planet in Star Wars? The ideal holiday destination?
Oh, for some reason Endor sounds the most relaxing. Well, technically it's the forest moon of Endor. I really want to be technical. Kashyyyk also seems pretty cool. Kashyyyk is good, but it has been ruined by the slavers. Those two are pretty good. The rest don't seem great at all. Tatooine, for example, is a big desert. I don't want to go there. Coruscant is a giant city. I don't like that.
Now that we know that you don't play Blade and Sorcery as much anymore, are there any VR games that you enjoy playing?
I like H3 VR. You know, hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. It's entertaining once a week to see Mr. Anton Hand come up on my YouTube feed and give a little spiel on what he is working on. It's interesting to see his perspective from the game development side, where you can see what he is working on. I can relate to it because I have dealt with a lot of these pains. What's interesting is that the game is stuck on an old version of Unity. There are so many weird bugs and issues that even Unity as a company doesn't know how to fix them. As for other VR games I like, well, Half-Life 2 VR is really, really good. Dirt Rally is also really, really good in VR. I would like to get a high-res VR headset as I'm still using the Oculus CV one. I tried the Quest 2 and found it to be worse.
When it comes to the Outer Rim, have you ever thought about adding bosses? Maybe Darth Vader?
That's a good point. I've always wanted to have proper bosses. The problem is, I can't find a way to make them compelling enough for an authentic boss experience. They are all just too flimsy or too weak. They need to find a way to make the NPCs faster so they can block incoming attacks and attack swiftly. Being able to outmaneuver you like a fencer, because you can always stab faster. Just holding out the lightsaber like a spear seems to always work. It will defeat any of the NPCs. If I were to ever add in Vader, I would want him to be menacing. I don't ever want to add him if I can't do him justice. If I can make it so Vader would absolutely annihilate you, yes, I absolutely would do it.
Stepping away from Star Wars for a little bit, do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
Oh, I knew something like that would come up. That's so hard for me to answer. I'm not a person who has favorites with movies. I don't have a favorite. I have so many favorite movies. I'm a very big film nerd. That's the same with TV shows. I have quite a diverse set of things that I like. I don't pigeonhole things that I like. Even movies that are bad, I'll happily watch.
You clearly have a lot of knowledge when it comes to modding games. Are there any other games that you have modded in the past?
I have been modding games for a very long time. I usually don't release the mod. Why not? Well, it was from a time when there just wasn't much internet. I would be modding games in my own personal install of the game. Take, for example, all of the ID Tech 3 games. I used to mod them all the time. You used to have a PK3 file that you could open. It was an archive like a RAR. The Jedi Knight series, Quake 3, obviously Call of Duty 1, Medal of Honor, all those games you could mod. You used Radiant, the level editor, so that was cool.
Are there any MMOs that you play? I'm personally a big fan of World of Warcraft.
I haven't played MMOs in a very long time. I remember getting a demo disc for World of Warcraft and I thought, I'm not going to install this game because it's a black hole. I had a feeling that if I were to play it, I wouldn't see the sun for the next 8 years because the game is that damn good. I have a lot of friends who played WoW, and they said it was fantastic with guilds and everything. Somehow I avoided it and just played a variety of other games. The last time I played an MMO was RuneScape back in the day. I don't have the account anymore. I sold it for $80 or something. It was a shit account. Wasn't even high level.
There's clearly a big Disney-shaped elephant in the room. Are you ever worried about the mouse coming knocking?
Not so far, no. That is a good sign that I haven't been contacted in any negative manner. I don't know if that would ever happen. I don't think so. The fact that I never ask for money or charge people for anything is the biggest factor. Legal issues usually come in if I'm profiting off their franchise or IP.
If you hadn't have gone down the Star Wars route, what total conversion mod would you have made instead?
If I never went down the Star Wars route, I probably would have gone down the Dark Souls route. That's likely what I would have been interested in. I'm a fan of the Souls series and I enjoy it. I do feel there could be better representation in that sense. The level design in those games is absolutely phenomenal. It's great. All the weapons could be passed across. We have the medieval mega pack, which is really well done. Dark Souls has a significant amount of weapons that could be naturally passed over. This was an idea I had in the past, but it's just too much work for me now.
Are you actually Cosby, the creator of Blade and Sorcery, in disguise?
I have heard that many times. I have heard, what if he made this alter ego so that he could ultimately make the Star Wars game he always wanted to, but was never legally allowed to? And our usernames both start with the same letter. I never talk about myself. He very rarely talks about himself either.
Let's switch it up. How about you ask me a question?
Do you ultimately want to continue being a YouTuber or venture into other areas? How do you feel about planning to grow as a YouTuber, such as doing a face reveal or expanding your content to take on more projects? Look at Linus Tech Tips as an example. He started in a garage and now has become a large enterprise.
I would love to stay relatively private like yourself. I have thought about showing my face a number of times, and in fact back in the day I used to. Hopefully those people don't watch me today. So ultimately I think yes, I would love to expand and branch out as much as I can, and trying new things and doing interesting ideas is something I would love to do. Whether I have the capabilities to do it, I'm not sure. At the moment, growing and succeeding is my current goal. How do you make the lightsabers feel different and unique from each other?
I can understand a lot of them feeling different, but some of them surely are the same. Like all the small ones, like the standard issue, they are exactly 1 kilo in design, about 17 centimeters in length. They have no unique features. I feel those would feel the same.
Outside of the Outer Rim and Blade and Sorcery, what work do you do?
I'm a programmer. I'd rather not say who or what I work for.
Talking of lightsabers, do you have a favorite design?
Ooh, which is my favorite lightsaber? That's an interesting one. I like the ones that are a little bit unique. There's something compelling about Desan's lightsaber. Desan was a character introduced in Jedi Knight Academy. His lightsaber is the one that has the big mace. It actually has a longer and thicker blade. That's one I just find interesting.
Do you want to buy some death sticks?
Oh, hell yeah! Apparently you see wild colors and then you die! Is that how it works? I think I considered, at one point as a joke, putting death sticks into the mod.
What are your hopes and dreams for the Outer Rim? If you had no limitations, what would you do?
Like I said before, if I had no limitations, I truly want true dismemberment where you can cut at any point on an NPC and it works, slicing through them. To be able to have large-scale battles that actually work, that's always something I've wanted. But there are a lot of technical limitations. If I had the feasibility of infinite time in the world, a campaign would be awesome. There were a few game modes that I had in mind. One of them might be possible again, but it just takes a lot of time.
With the Outer Rim, what is the biggest headache and why is it the Quest 2 players?
The biggest problem, from what I have found, is that people simply don't read. They don't want to read. They want everything to be force-fed to them. They want the answers handed to them on a plate. And yes, this problem often occurs with Quest players.
There are like 11 or 12 different Star Wars movies. Do you have a favorite?
The one that I love the most is a bit of a mix between episodes 5 and 4. I have seen them many times, but I also like Rogue One. It's really well made. I think the reason it's so good is that the writer or director is the same guy who did Andor and the Bourne series. Episode 4, A New Hope, and Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, are absolute classics. Rogue One was my favorite of the new movies. I do like the prequels, although I don't like them as much as the original trilogy. It's fair that people criticize them, but they are fun movies and enjoyable. They add so much lore. Recently, I watched a very interesting version of Revenge of the Sith called Backstroke of the West. It was a Chinese bootleg edition that was translated into Chinese and then back into English. They hired voice actors in the style of the original actors to read the broken translation. It's truly incredible and mind-boggling to watch that movie.
You underrated my ability!
Star Wars is no stranger to its controversial creative decisions. What is your opinion of the sequel trilogy?
Episode 7 was A New Hope in its own respects. It was basically a remake of A New Hope, and it gave a new hope to a new audience, and a new hope that the sequels would be good.
When it comes to additions and making things for the mod, what would you say the most difficult or frustrating thing is?
Oh, I personally really do not like 3D modeling. I do not enjoy it. That's one thing I have really found hard. Also, sound design. Not so much the usage of it, but making my own sound effects, I absolutely struggle at it. And I have to leverage help from other people to do sound production. Same with music. I can't do music, I could just take tracks. So what I have done so far in the mod is I have used royalty-free tracks where I knew it was a Creative Commons license.
Star Wars is filled with hundreds of amazing and likable characters. Do you have a favorite?
Probably Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's not like I'm unique or have great taste, I just like Obi-Wan. When I think of Obi-Wan, I'm thinking of Clone Wars era Obi-Wan.
We can all agree that the sounds in the Outer Rim are exceptional. Where do you get them from?
So, some I get from games, some I get from movies, some are bought sound effects. So, take for example lightsaber fonts. There are people who make custom lightsabers, the models, the replicas. They put speakers in them and use accelerometers to make sound effects. Those are available, and I have used those for a lot of different kyber crystals. If I want to make more kyber crystals, I want different effects. I don't want to double up on the sound sets. I want it to sound right and be mixed right.
Out of all of the official Star Wars virtual reality games, how does it feel to know that you have created the best feeling lightsabers?
Really? How many VR Star Wars games are there? Is that just Vader Immortal, or is there more? I'm actually surprised by that, to be honest, given the fact that I'm not a game dev. To have the best feeling lightsabers, it would be better if my sabers actually sliced through anything or left trails and marks on walls. But I think the reason they feel better is the convincing handling of weapons in Blade and Sorcery. It really gives credence to making them feel like weapons and not just party sticks.
Are there any games coming out in the future that you are excited or hyped for?
The new Stalker game, I remember when Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl was released, it was phenomenal. The atmosphere of the game was exceptional, and even today it remains one of the best. The developers were quite ambitious with certain aspects, which initially led to poor performance as every blade of grass had a dynamic shadow. The first patch addressed this issue by removing it. If you're familiar with the Metro series, it was essentially born from the same developers, GSC Game World. During the development of the first Stalker game, there was a difference of opinion, resulting in the split between the Stalker and Metro series. However, they share the same engine underneath. As for Stalker 2, I hope it turns out well. They will likely strive for justice in its execution, but given that they haven't released a game in over 10 years, it's uncertain.
Picture this. You have been captured by the Empire and are being forced to destroy one planet that exists within the Star Wars universe. What planet are you destroying, and why?
So, I have been captured by the Empire, and I'm being forced to blow up a planet. Oh, if I was a smartass, here's one. Exodor, sure, why not? But they wouldn't be able to get it because it's out in wild space. We can also pretend it doesn't exist. I could say Korriban, or even better, Mustafar. Do you know why? That's where Vader has his castle. I think it's just a big mining planet, and that's where his house is. Yeah, I would say Mustafar.
Unfortunately, that's all the time that I have today. A huge shout out to Kingo64 for taking his time to have a lovely long chat with me. Thank you, I really appreciate it. Also, if you like these kinds of videos, maybe I can arrange another interview with someone else, or Kingo again if he's up for it. So leave a comment down below, like this video, and I hope to see you very soon. Bye for now.
Oh, look, I'm on TV. Hi, Mom. You're gonna watch your son get violently murdered. No.
Hey, what you doing?
I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing.
Look, you're in the right place to be doing that, buddy. I tell you that right now. We're gonna get you to a cell. You're sick.
Looks like Jeffrey Dahmer. Look at him.
Jeffrey Dahmer.